Hello, everybody. The assisted dying bill is coming back to Parliament very, very soon. Its full name is the Terminally Ill Adults End of Life Care Bill, which really doesn't have anything much to do with caring for people at all. The idea is it will turn the NHS into a killing machine legally, giving doctors the power to kill and end the life of patients. Now, it first came before Parliament, well, its second reading actually, which is the important reading, was on the 29th of November 2024. And as we know, the majority of MPs voted for that bill to continue going through Parliament by 325 to 275. The majority of Labour MPs and Lib Dem MPs and Reform MPs voted for euthanasia. The fake Conservatives, surprisingly, by a majority of them, voted against it. So they made up a significant number of the 275 that voted against it. As surprisingly did a number of Labour MPs, because they were given a free vote, but the majority of Labour MPs voted for it. The SNP declined to vote, which probably was the right thing to do in terms of democracy, because this is a bill for England and Wales only. The SNP MPs said, well, we're Scottish MPs, we're not getting involved in this bill because it's about England and Wales. So there you go, that's by the by. So it's gone to the committee stage, and for the last few months, there's been a lot of discussion in the committee stage about amendments to the bill, changes to the bill, and a lot of this is centered around how much will this bill safeguard people from coercion to end their lives. The committee had 23 members on it, but it was completely biased in favor of euthanasia. 15 of the members of the committee were for it. Only 8 of them were against it. Notably, Danny Kruger. He is in the fake Conservative Party, but on this, he has been very, very good in highlighting how horrific this bill is. And every safeguarding proposition and proposal he made seemed to get shot down by the committee. So in the committee stage, they're now going to include people with anorexia, with Down syndrome, perhaps even with just mental health conditions that aren't in any physical pain or any they're not near the end of their life. They're not terminally ill, but they can be included in receiving the so-called treatment, which isn't actually a treatment. It's not medical care. This is actually something incredibly different and very, very horrendous. And also, they're saying that 16 and 17-year-olds should be allowed to apply to be given assisted suicide, assisted killing, which is what it is. Kim Leadbeater, who is the Labour MP who's sponsoring the bill, looks dreadful. I mean, and I'm being kind there, she looks quite demonic, actually. And, there was a clip of her last week in the committee suggesting that people who try to persuade family members and friends not to kill themselves are coercing them. That it's coercion to try to persuade people not to commit suicide. And this was something that she said in the committee there. I mean, this is completely twisted and inverted from every kind of ethical standard and traditional or Christian moral that we've had in this country. Is completely twisting everything, and once this bill that she's bringing in, of course, will completely change the nature of this country, the nature of the relationship between the state and its citizens, between doctors and their patients, because the state and doctors will be allowed to kill a person, an innocent person, on the premise that, well, they might die anyway. But then again, when you say this, what is the definition of terminally ill? You know, someone who's got 6 months to live, or 2 years to live, or 5 years to live, even, you know, or 2 weeks to live. Well, what is the cutoff point for when someone is terminally ill? How bad a condition does it have to be? Because if they're considering someone who has Down syndrome, well, they're not terminally ill, and they don't have any condition which is harmful to themselves or anybody else, and yet they can be considered for this state killing on the NHS. It's absolutely horrendous and quite wicked what this bill will do. So it's coming back before Parliament on the 25th of April, and there is hope that this bill will be voted down at that stage when it comes to the third reading. So what the committee stage is about is looking at every single line of the bill, making sure that it's consistent with the Constitution and other safeguards for legislation. Obviously, it hasn't been in this case. That's what the committee stage is supposed to do. But then it comes back for the third reading after the committee stage. The actual whole bill and all the clauses in it are set, and it's the final draft, if you like, and that goes before Parliament, or the House of Commons anyway, on the 25th of April for the third reading. But it only needs 30 MPs to switch and change their minds, and then the bill falls. So there is hope that 30 or even more of the 325 that voted for this bill will change their minds and vote against it in the third reading. If that happens, this whole assisted suicide bill will fall, and that's it. That's the end of it. It will be killed, and that's what we need to happen. There were some MPs that said, well, I'm going to vote for this just so we can have a discussion, just so we can talk about safeguarding and all of this and that. But now it's clear that there is not going to be proper safeguarding, because one of the things in the second reading was that MPs were promised that everyone was promised this bill would only allow a killing to happen if it had the permission of a judge or in the High Court, or maybe two judges in the High Court. That's been dropped now, and so approval by the High Court has been replaced with approval by a panel of essentially lay people, a social worker, a lawyer, and a psychiatrist, which don't have any legal, but it's not a legal backing. It can't force people to come and testify. And then families will not even have the chance to go and represent their case to this panel, which is going to be there to replace the safeguard of two judges making a decision on whether someone's life can be ended or not. I mean, that shouldn't happen in the first place, but that was like a flimsy fig leaf of a safeguarding process on it. But even that's been dropped in favor of a panel of three people who are not properly qualified, not medically qualified in any way, to make a decision on whether something should happen to somebody in terms of ending their life. And the appeal can only go one way. So if this panel decides, no, someone can't have their life ended, the patient or the person maybe who's asking for it can appeal, but no one can appeal against it. So family members cannot appeal against this panel if they decide someone's life can be ended. Well, they can't appeal against it to say, no, this is a beloved member of our family. We appeal not to have her life ended. We appeal against the decision, and we don't want permission to be given to any doctor to end someone's life. But a doctor should not even be thinking of ending someone's life, because the Hippocratic Oath, as we all know, I mean, everybody knows the first four words of this: first, do no harm. The Hippocratic Oath goes on to say you should not give a poison to anybody, nor suggest that someone take a poison which is to end their life. It also, is against abortion. You should not carry out an abortion with a pessary. That's another thing in the Hippocratic Oath that doesn't get mentioned much at all. It's a different but related issue. But certainly it says that a doctor should not kill their own patient. That's very, very clear. That's an absolutely clear principle in the Hippocratic Oath. So this just totally trashes that, and doctors will be required to break the Hippocratic Oath if this bill comes in, because they will be required to offer assisted suicide to certain people with certain conditions that come in before them. If someone's deemed to be terminally ill, whatever that means, they will be required in law to offer assisted dying to their patients. So that's not the case at the moment. It's never been the case. It's always been the case in all of a Western civilization, from the Greeks onwards, right up to now, in England and Wales, where this bill is trying to be brought in here. It's always been the case that a doctor will not kill their patients. But now this law, if it comes in, will require them to offer to kill their patients in certain circumstances, which is utterly horrendous and twists everything. And it will make this country a completely different place, ethically, morally, spiritually, to what it's been before. It's already crumbling in those areas, but this will just accelerate the decline and the disintegration into something hellish. So we want this bill to fall. Of course, I'm the leader of the Heritage Party, and we are the only party which is UK-wide that has it as party policy to oppose euthanasia. There's none of the parties in Parliament, apart from a couple of the Northern Irish parties, that oppose this as party policy. So this is why you've got some MPs from Labour, Tory, Lib Dem, Green and Reform all voting for euthanasia. The Heritage Party opposes it, and all of our candidates for Parliament would vote against this as a matter of party policy. We've put some letters on our website which you can use to write to your MPs to try to persuade them to change their minds if they voted for it last time, to change their minds and vote against it on the basis that the safeguarding that we were promised just isn't there. And this is actually going to be very, very dangerous for many, many people. You can also look at our friends in the UK Medical Freedom Alliance, and they've been campaigning against this. And they have some letters as well, which you can use to write to MPs and hopefully change some of their minds on the basis of the lack of safeguarding. But the thing that we also need to do, which we've been saying as well, is that instead of this killing people, what we need is proper palliative care for people at the end of their lives. If they are terminally ill and in pain, then proper palliative care can alleviate a lot of the discomfort that people have at the end of their life. And that's what needs to be done, not just bumping people off. And then, as has happened in Canada and Belgium and Netherlands, the criteria for this expands and balloons immediately. So in Canada, for example, now they brought this in on the basis that this is compassionate, using people's emotions and compassion to twist everything. And now you've got the MAID program, medical assistance in dying, which is offered to people on unemployment benefit. It's not, they offer it to you if you're a little bit depressed, or you've got financial problems. Oh, you've got financial problems. Oh, well, why don't you kill yourself? That's what the medical services in Canada do now. And that's what will happen in England and Wales if this comes in. And I'm sure Scotland, with the SNP there, have got their own plans to do that up there as well. It's horrendous and it has to be stopped. So please do have a look at some of these letters. Think of writing to MPs to try to persuade them to vote against it. As I said, we only need 30 MPs to change their minds, and it is looking quite good that number of MPs who were on the borderline back on the 29th of November in the second reading will change and vote against this bill on the 25th of April when it comes back to the House of Commons. So in the places where I put this video where I can write extra information, like I can't do that everywhere. I send this out and I put this out on about 7 different platforms. But if you're looking on YT, if you're looking on Rumble, if you're looking on rightthink.tv, then I get a box for more information, or I can put more information obviously on Right Think TV if you're reading the article there that goes with the video, and in that I'll put the links to the Heritage Party website and our template letters, and also the UK Medical Freedom Alliance and their template letters for you to be able to oppose this. So please do, because this is a very, very important thing that is going to be coming up again in Parliament on the 25th of April. Thank you for listening, everyone, and thanks for fighting against the things that are degenerate and fighting for what's good and righteous. God bless you all.